The sun was sinking behind the towering city skyline of Chicago, casting long shadows over the worn-out streets where life's hardships were etched into every brick and cracked pavement. Jonathan Hayes, a self-made millionaire who had everything money could buy, found himself standing on the sidewalk outside a small grocery store. He wasn't here to shop, nor was he lost in the city for the first time. He was escaping the emptiness of his opulent penthouse, trying to shake off the cold loneliness that came with wealth. Yet it wasn't until he saw her, across the street beneath the flickering light of a dying street lamp, that his heart truly stopped. There she was, a mother, worn down by life's relentless struggles, sitting on the edge of the curb with a small plate balanced on her lap. On it were scraps of bread, divided carefully between two little children, their small hands reaching for the meager portions with cautious hope. Her name was Sarah, a woman in her early 30s, her once bright eyes now shadowed by exhaustion and worry. Her hair, tied loosely in a messy bun, framed a face that told stories of sleepless nights and endless sacrifice. Beside her, her children, 7-year-old Lucas and 5-year-old Mia, looked up at her with innocent eyes, trusting that their mother would always find a way to keep them alive, even when life seemed determined to strip them bare. Jonathan watched quietly from a distance, his chest tightening as he witnessed the small act of love, a mother's devotion poured into something as simple as a shared plate of bread. The children didn't complain. They didn't fight. They divided every crumb, careful to give each other just enough, their faces marked with both hunger and gratitude. The scene was almost unbearable in its simplicity and honesty, and something inside Jonathan stirred, a long-forgotten tenderness he had buried beneath business deals and boardroom victories. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the beauty of human compassion, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Sarah didn't notice Jonathan at first, too focused on the delicate task of making sure both children had an equal share. She murmured soft words of comfort, telling them that things would get better, though even she wasn't sure she believed it. Jonathan's mind raced. He had given millions to charities before, signed checks without reading the details, and felt nothing but a fleeting sense of accomplishment. But this was different. This was real. This was human. Compelled by a force he could not explain, Jonathan crossed the street. He didn't approach with a plan, didn't announce himself with grandeur or pretense. He simply walked up, feeling strangely small in the face of their struggle. Sarah looked up at him, startled, her eyes wary. She had learned to be cautious around strangers, but Jonathan didn't speak. He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a small envelope, and placed it gently beside her on the curb. The children noticed first, their curious eyes widening as they glanced at the neat envelope with his name written elegantly across the front. Sarah picked it up slowly, hands trembling. Jonathan gave her a soft smile, the kind of smile that carried no judgment, no expectation, only hope. Then he turned and walked away, leaving behind a spark that would soon ignite a new chapter in their lives. Sarah opened the envelope with hesitant fingers, finding a check that could cover rent, groceries, and school supplies for months. Tears streamed down her face as she hugged her children tightly, whispering words of gratitude she didn't even know she had inside her. Lucas and Mia, sensing the weight of the moment, buried their faces in her chest, holding on to the mother who had never let them down, even when the world seemed determined to. Days turned into weeks, and the small act of kindness rippled through their lives. Sarah found work at a local diner, her confidence slowly returning. With each smile from a customer, each friendly nod from a coworker, she began to dream again, not of wealth or luxury, but of stability, safety, and the ability to provide her children with a childhood filled with love rather than hunger. Jonathan, on the other hand, returned to his penthouse with a lightness he hadn't felt in years. Watching Sarah's resilience reminded him that life was not just about acquisitions, power, or influence. It was about connection, about seeing the humanity in someone and choosing to act, even when it was uncomfortable or inconvenient. But life has a way of testing the purest acts of kindness. One evening, Sarah received a notice that her landlord was selling the building. Panic surged through her chest, the familiar fear of losing everything threatening to take over. She thought of Jonathan, of the man who had changed her life with a simple gesture, and a spark of hope returned. But how could she reach out? How could she thank someone who had left so quietly, without expectation, without seeking recognition? Jonathan, meanwhile, sensed the need for something more. He realized that generosity without understanding was incomplete. He traced Sarah's apartment through public records, wanting to ensure that his help was sustainable, that it could empower rather than merely provide. And when he knocked on her door weeks later, carrying grocery bags and a folder of resources, Sarah couldn't believe her eyes. There he was, tall, composed, but with eyes that held a rare sincerity. He didn't speak of money or charity. Instead, he shared advice on budgeting, finding community programs, and connecting with local support networks. He encouraged Sarah to see her own strength, to trust that her love for her children was more powerful than any challenge they might face. And in that quiet exchange, Sarah realized something profound, that kindness, when given without expectation, could transform lives not just materially, but emotionally and spiritually as well. As the months passed, the family flourished. Lucas and Mia returned to school with new clothes and backpacks, their laughter filling the small apartment that now felt like a home. Sarah began volunteering in her community, determined to pay forward the mercy that had been extended to her. And Jonathan, watching from a distance, found his own life enriched in ways money could never measure. He had given more than wealth, he had given hope, and in return, he received something even more valuable, a reminder of the simple, enduring power of human compassion. Before the story ends, I want to ask you, if this story touched your heart, please comment below and share how it made you feel. Stories like these remind us that even the smallest acts of kindness can ripple into lives we might never imagine. In the end, the sight of a mother sharing a plate of bread with her children became more than a moment on the street. It became a testament to resilience, to the courage that blooms in the face of hardship, and to the extraordinary ways that one person's compassion can change the trajectory of another's life. Jonathan had expected nothing when he acted, and yet, in giving, he received the greatest gift of all, the knowledge that love, empathy, and selfless generosity could still illuminate a world that often seemed dark and unforgiving. Sarah would never forget the day a millionaire walked into her life, not with judgment, not with pomp, but with humanity. And Jonathan, for the first time in years, understood that the truest wealth was not counted in dollars, but in the lives we touch, in the hope we ignite, and in the kindness we choose to show, even when no one is watching.